Okay, everybody, so we're going to go right into Chapter 5 of The Critter Club, all about Ellie. Pre-show jitters. Next Friday, before school, Ellie checked the calendar. The play was exactly 1 week away. At school, before the morning bell, the girls met up on the playground. Do you know what today is? Ellie asked them. Yep, said Liz. Friday. We have a sleepover tonight. Yeah, every Friday. Amy cheered. Marion, it's your house, right? Marian nodded and opened her mouth to speak, but Ellie blurted out, No, not that. I mean the play. The play is 1 week away. 1 week from today. Liz put her arm around Ellie. Don't worry, she said in a calm tone. You're going to be great. You're totally ready, said Marian. We've heard all the lines to all the songs, said Amy. You definitely know them by heart. Ellie smiled. I know, she said. Oh, yeah, I almost forgot to tell you guys. I can't make it to the sleepover tonight. What? Liz asked, surprised. Why not? Ellie sat down on a swing. I really need to use all my spare time to prepare for the show, study my lines and rehearse my songs, and get a ton of rest, said Ellie. It's going to be a busy weekend. We have an extra rehearsal tomorrow morning. Then my mom is taking me to Orange Blossom to pick up my specially made costume. Going shopping in Orange Blossom was always a special treat. Wait, said Amy. So you're not coming to the sleepover and you won't be at the Critter Club tomorrow? The Critter Club, thought Ellie, remembering. She shook her head and shrugged. I can't make it, she said. It's just the play is only a week away, just 7 days. Marian rolled her eyes. Yeah, you mentioned that. Just then the bell rang. Everyone had to line up to go inside. That got Ellie thinking. At the end of the play, would the cast line up to take a bow together? Or would they each get to take their own bow? She had to ask Miss Jameson about that at rehearsal. Chapter 6. Ellie's Fan Club. Ellie, called Mrs. Mitchell, time for dinner. It was Sunday evening. In her room, Ellie sighed. She dropped her script and went downstairs. She stood next to her seat at the dining room table. Ellie's mom, dad, little brother Toby, and Nana Gloria were already there, waiting for her. Mom, I don't have time to eat, Ellie said. Oh, come on, Ellie, her mom replied. You have to eat something. Your mother's right, said Nana Gloria. You need to keep up your strength, otherwise you'll never make it to Friday's showtime. She winked and smiled at Ellie. Ellie smiled back. She was so happy Nana Gloria had come to live with them a few weeks ago. Already, Ellie couldn't remember what the house was like without her. She always gave good advice. Her dad picked up a covered dish. You've been going nonstop all weekend, Ellie, he said. So sit, relax, and eat. We made your favorite. He whisked the lid off the dish. Chicken pot pie, Ellie cried. She thought. I am kind of hungry. She sat down next to Toby. Yummy, said Toby, picking up his fork. Bravo, came a squeaky voice from the corner. Everyone laughed and looked at Nana Gloria's parrot, Lenny, perched in his cage. Ellie and Lenny had become good pals. Ellie had taught him to say bravo after she sang and danced. Can Lenny come to the play, please? Asked Toby. And Sam, too. Sam was their golden retriever. Toby didn't like going places without Sam. Ellie laughed at the thought of barks and a squawky bravo mixed in with the applause. I don't think so, Toby, she said. Plus, adorable critters would totally steal the spotlight, Ellie thought. That's kind of true. Chapter 7. A bad kind of drama. On Monday at school, Ellie spotted Amy and Marian heading into the classroom. Guys, wait up! She called and hurried over. Oh, hey, Ellie, Marian said flatly. Hi, said Amy. They both sounded kind of bored to Ellie. They kept on walking. Hey, what's up? Ellie said excitedly. I haven't seen you guys all weekend. How was the sleepover? How was Saturday at the Critter Club? Ellie went on without really waiting for an answer. Boy, what a crazy weekend I had. Rehearsal, costume fitting, studying my lines. That's nice, Ellie, Marian said in the same flat voice. Yeah, sounds great, said Amy. That's funny, thought Ellie. They don't sound like they think it's nice and great. Their teacher, Mrs. Sienna, asked everyone to take their seats. Without another word, Amy and Marian crossed the room. They sat at their desk by the window. Ellie saw Liz already in her seat by the bookshelf. Ellie waved. Liz waved back, but didn't smile. That's not like Liz, thought Ellie. I wonder if she's feeling okay. Ellie sat down at her desk near the classroom door. Soon, Mrs. Sienna got them started on morning math, but Ellie couldn't concentrate on fractions. She kept looking over at her friends. They all had their noses in their work. Ellie tried to catch their attention, but none of them looked her way all morning. It was almost lunchtime when there was a knock on the classroom door. Mrs. Sienna answered it. A fifth grader gave the teacher a folded piece of paper. "Liz," she said after reading it, "the principal would like to see you." Ellie looked at Liz. She looked surprised. "Right now?" Liz asked. "Yes, right now," said Mrs. Sienna. "Take your lunch. You can go straight to the cafeteria afterwards." "Oh, okay," thought Ellie. "What's up?" She watched Liz get her lunch from her backpack. Then she walked out of the classroom. 10 long minutes later, the lunch bell rang. Ellie jumped out of her seat, got out her lunch bag, and headed for the door. Ellie wanted to talk to Marion and Amy. She caught up to them in the hallway. "Guys," she said, "is everything okay with Liz?" Marion and Amy kept on walking. Ellie thought they hadn't heard her. "Guys!" Ellie tried again. Marion stopped and turned to Ellie. "Oh, are you speaking to us, superstar?" Ellie froze in her tracks. Usually she loved being called a superstar, but not the way Marion had said it. That way sounded more like a bad word. Ellie didn't know what to say. She felt her cheeks getting hot. She wasn't sure from what. Anger? Embarrassment? Ellie looked at Amy, who only looked at the ground. Ellie opened her mouth. She wanted to say something back, but nothing came out. She closed it, turned, and stomped off. During lunchtime rehearsal in the auditorium, Ellie was surrounded by her new friends from the play, but all she could think of was her old friends. Suddenly, Ellie didn't feel like talking about the play. Were Marion and Amy jealous of her? And what was up with Liz? What do you guys think? Do you think that they're jealous? I don't know. Chapter 8. And Ellie sometimes forgets. Outside, after school, Ellie didn't wait for Marion or Amy, and Liz was nowhere to be seen. "Where is she?" Ellie wondered, walking home alone. "How could she abandon me at a time like this?" Ellie wanted to ask Liz about Marion and Amy. After all, Ellie was the star of the play. She got to wear a glittery costume. She had lots of new friends. They must be jealous. Ellie was sure that's why Marion had said what she did. When Ellie got home, she went to her room. Her Mrs. Ladybug costume was hanging on the closet door. It really is so beautiful, Ellie thought. Maybe trying it on will cheer her up. For a couple of minutes, it worked. Ellie looked at herself in the mirror and smiled. She twirled and posed. She said some of her lines. She sang one of her songs. "This is what I'll look like up on stage," she thought. Then the feeling faded. Ellie remembered that awful way Marion's voice sounded. She remembered the look on Amy's face. Quickly, she changed into her regular clothes. She flopped onto her bed. Suddenly, Ellie didn't feel excited about the play at all. Just then the phone rang. Nana Gloria called up from downstairs. "Ellie, it's for you. It's Liz." Finally, Ellie thought, a friendly voice. She flew down the stairs and ran to the phone. "Liz, where have you been?" Ellie asked, out of breath. "I looked for you after school." Ellie waited for Liz to answer in her usual easygoing way, but there was just silence at the other end. "Liz? Liz," Ellie said. "I'm here, Ellie," Liz replied. Her voice was quiet and sounded different, like she wasn't smiling again. "Where were you at school today?" Ellie asked. She decided to skip to the important stuff. "You won't believe how mean Marion and Amy were to me today. They barely talked to me or looked at me. And then Marion called me superstar. I think they're jealous of the whole play thing. I mean, Ellie!" Liz shouted. Ellie stopped talking. "Did you forget anything today?" Liz asked her. Forget anything, Ellie thought. She ran through things in her mind. She had her homework and reading book. She had gone to play rehearsal. Oh, she still needed to try new hairstyles for the play. Plus, she wanted to ask her mom if she could wear lipstick. "It's Monday," said Liz, hinting. "Our day. After school? At the Critter Club?" "You forgot to meet me at the barn after school, Ellie. I took care of everything all by myself." Ellie gasped. The bunnies! How had she forgotten? She heard Liz sigh at the other end. "This play. It's all you can think about," Liz says. "It's bad enough that you forgot about the bunnies. But what about your best friends?" Ellie felt a terrible sinking feeling in her stomach. But Liz wasn't done. "And in case you care, my painting won first place in the art contest. That's why the principal wanted to see me. It's going on to the state competition. You're not the only one who has exciting stuff happening, Ellie, even if you've been acting like it. Liz hung up the phone before Ellie could answer. It was just as well because for once, Ellie didn't know what to say. Chapter 9. A Secret Movie Star. Ellie felt a lump raising in her throat. She wanted to get out of the house. She didn't feel like telling her family why she was upset. I'm going for a bike ride, she called into the kitchen. Okay, Nana Gloria replied as the screen door slammed. In seconds, Ellie was riding away. Down the street. At first, she had no destination in mind. Then suddenly, she wanted to visit the bunnies. She steered her bike towards Mrs. Sullivan's place. 10 minutes later, Ellie was in the barn. Fluffy was in her lap. Frosty was sniffing her shoes. Or is that one Floppy? Ellie wondered. The third bunny was poking his head into her jacket pocket. I'm really sorry, bunnies, she whispered to them. I'm sorry I forgot you today. Tears welled up in her eyes. She couldn't hold it in. Ellie petted Fluffy as she cried and cried. Ellie, came a voice at the door. Ellie turned. Mrs. Sullivan was peeking into the barn. What's the matter? She came over and wrapped an arm around Ellie. Is everything okay? Ellie wiped her eyes on her sleeves. Yes, Mrs. Sullivan, she sniffled. It's just... The sobs came again, and Ellie couldn't speak. Come on, dear, said Mrs. Sullivan. Come in the house with me. Ellie nodded. Together they put the bunnies back in the hutch. Then they walked across Mrs. Sullivan's wide backyard and went into the back door of her gigantic gingerbread house. As Ellie sat down in Mrs. Sullivan's kitchen, Rufus came running in. He jumped up, rested his head and front paws on Ellie's knees. Ellie petted him while Mrs. Sullivan got her some milk and cookies. By the time she set them on the table, Ellie had stopped crying. Ellie explained about the play. She told Mrs. Sullivan what Marian and Liz had said. She described the look on Amy's face. I guess I have been really focused on the play, said Ellie. It means a lot to me. Can't they see that? Mrs. Sullivan smiled kindly. Then she got a twinkle in her eyes. Ellie, I have something to show you, she said. Wait here a minute. Mrs. Sullivan left the room. Rufus stretched out under the table waiting for cookie crumbs. When Mrs. Sullivan returned, she had a photo in her hand. She handed it to Ellie. Strangely, the woman in the photo looked familiar to Ellie, but where had Ellie seen her before? As you know, said Mrs. Sullivan, I haven't always lived in Santa Vista. Before I moved here, I lived in Hollywood. Hollywood, California, thought Ellie. Where movies are made? Movies. That's it, cried Ellie. Have I seen this woman in a movie? In an older movie like the one Nana Gloria likes to watch. Mrs. Sullivan nodded. Yes, that woman was a famous actress. Her screen name was Rudy Fairchild. Yeah, Rudy Fairchild, said Ellie, looking again at the photo. She was in The Lost Sheep. We watched it the other night. Ellie looked up at Mrs. Sullivan. Why do you have her picture? Ellie gasped. Did you know her in Hollywood? Mrs. Sullivan laughed. You could say that, Ellie, she said. You see, Rudy Fairchild is me. Ellie stared at Mrs. Sullivan. Then she stared at the photo. That's you, she cried. She does look like you. Well, a much younger me, Mrs. Sullivan said with a smile. Ellie was amazed. She listened as Mrs. Sullivan told her about her life in Hollywood. It sounded like Ellie's idea of heaven. The movie stars, the fancy parties, the awards, signing autographs for crowds of cheering fans. I had a great career, said Mrs. Sullivan, but when I stopped making movies, I was ready for a quieter life. That's when I moved to Santa Vista, Mrs. Sullivan sighed. I thought if people had known me as Rudy Fairchild, I'd never be left alone. So I hid who I was and kept to myself. I didn't go out much, and I even lost touch with most of my old friends. A lot of days I was all alone in this giant house, she smiled, until I got Rufus. She looked down at the big puppy under the table. Woof, Rufus replied, his tail thumping against the chair leg. Then Rufus went missing, and you girls helped me find him, Mrs. Sullivan went on. Before the Critter Club, I hadn't made new friends in years. Mrs. Sullivan put her arm around Ellie. It's important to be kind to your friends. Keep them close. And here's a piece of advice. From one actress to another, Ellie grinned. Rudy Fairchild was calling her an actress. Good friends will be there for you, but it can't always be about you. Ellie finished her milk and cookies. Then Mrs. Sullivan showed her more of the Hollywood stuff, old movie posters, scripts, and photos. Nana Gloria would flip to see all this, Ellie said. But don't you worry. Your secret will be safe with me, Rudy Fairchild. Mrs. Sullivan, I mean. And we're going to end here. We'll pick up on chapter things, making things right.